Hi everybody, how's everybody doing? Welcome to this episode of the Cleanse Reboot series, and today we're talking about the liver. So last week I took you through what to look out for, signs and symptoms for general cleansing if your body needs general cleansing. I took you through where to start, start with the lymphatic system, start with your skin, start with deep breathing, start with just some filtered water. So starting there and keeping it simple, because cleansing's actually, when you get into the nuts and bolts of it, cleansing can actually be quite tricky, because if you over cleanse some parts of the body, cleansing is really, it's all these chemical reactions that are going on in your body. So if you upregulate some parts or don't do other parts, you kind of get this seesaw effect in cleansing, and it doesn't work as well as if you do it nice and gently and in a really nice strategic way. So last week we talked about doing the skin, doing the lymphatic system, so you start externally. Then we talked about the kidneys, because the kidneys is one of the areas that water-soluble toxins will be excreted. And then we talked about your bowel, because if your bowel is clogged up, if you're constipated, if you've got bad bacteria in the bowel, what's going to happen is these toxins, these smaller fat-soluble molecules that your bile is trying to excrete through your bowel, are only going to put pressure on your digestive tract and going to cause more absorption, maybe inflammation in the digestive tract, maybe leaky gut. So you need to do it in a nice strategic way. You need to do it 1, 2, 3, and you need to be gentle. If you go full on and try and cleanse your liver before you look at everything else, and you dump all these supplements in, or you buy this liver detox online, it can actually cause more problems. It can cause a buildup of metabolites, which can actually cause inflammation in the liver. They can cause inflammation in the rest of the body. They can cause a huge buildup. So it's actually really sensible to do it in this manner. So last week we talked about the bowel, the kidneys, and lymphatic system, and just cleansing overall. Hi Kim, how are you today? So today we're going to talk about the liver, and wow, this is just a massive, massive subject. Originally I was just going to do 2 days, but I think the liver, actually we could do it over like a few days, because the liver is so freaking complex. And once you start looking at the liver, and once you start looking at what it actually does, and what different parts of the body affect it, and what different supplements affect it, and how actually healthy things affect it for better or for worse, you actually can then start to get a comprehension of, okay, now I understand why when I read liver detox cleanses, they tell me to add in lemon, or they tell me to add in this, or they tell me to add in that, because you can really understand how the liver works and what it does. I mean, you just look at these kind of diagrams, they're all online, these kind of liver pathways. You see this? This is the liver pathway diagram. I mean, there is so much going on in the liver that we do not even know about, and we think it's just as simple as drinking beetroot juice, or having what supplements, liver cleanse supplements that are online. And it's not as simple as that. It never is, because everyone's so different, and there are so many different chemical reactions going on, and everyone's metabolic genetic makeup is so different. You do have to be careful, particularly if you find you react. Your reaction's inconsistent, so you might take something that your friends tried or everyone else has tried and they're fine, and you take it and you get depressed, or you come out in a rash, or you get sluggish or tired, or you get hyperactive. So you really need to understand to go gentle, particularly on the liver, and particularly if you know there are other things going on in your body. So signs and symptoms that your liver might be a little bit sluggish. The first and biggest one is obviously feeling a little bit distended in that area. So if the liver gets a little bit enlarged, or it gets a little bit fatty, we can't lose weight in the tummy. We will feel nauseous on getting up in the morning. We will feel nauseous, travel sickness. We'll be very sensitive to perfumes, very sensitive to chemicals like this. Allergies all the time. High histamine can be a liver that's not working properly. We might get allergies. We might get skin complaints. Constipation is a huge one. Then we've got the visuals. When people say, oh, you need to cleanse your liver because your skin's dull, or your eyes might be yellowing a little bit. That yellowing can be a buildup of bilirubin that can be natural, and some people genetically get that. Others, it can indicate that there is a liver issue going on. Sometimes it can be a liver issue that's not too bad. Other times it can be something more serious, so it's always good to get that checked out. But just that general feeling in the liver area, on your right-hand side, just where the rib and below that area, the liver's quite a big organ, that general kind of like, oh, I just feel fatty in that area, I can't lose it, I feel like, oh, I can't move in that area. Boils, acne, that kind of thing. and bruising very easily. There was a couple of things I wanted to remember because I do get asked these questions, and bruising is one of them. So the capillaries are quite fragile when the liver's not working properly. Now, what the liver, the main function, and if you look at these great diagrams, you'll see this isn't one I've done. This is actually just on the net. They're really easy to come by. But the main main function of the liver is you've got the portal vein going in from the intestines, and so what the liver essentially does is it helps to cleanse the blood, and that's what naturopaths will say, cleansing blood. The doctors won't necessarily use that word, but we use that word because it just helps you to understand what the liver does. It's more complex, but we call it blood cleansing. That's why we might say dandelion is a blood cleansing herb, because essentially the blood coming from the intestines might contain more bacteria, more yeast. It might contain candida, fungi, hormones, all of these things from your intestines that your intestines are trying to get rid of. That blood goes through the portal vein into the liver, and the liver then does its job. And the liver firstly has what's called phase 1 detoxification. Phase 1 is where the liver uses certain chemical reactions to get those toxins, whether they're fat soluble, and what it does is it either breaks them down into smaller molecules for phase 2, or it does hydrolysis on them, so it turns them into water-soluble toxins, and it sends them into the liver, and you urinate them out. So you can see after the liver, we've got the bowel and the kidneys, which you've already worked on. So your bowel and kidneys are working nice, and now we work on the liver. And that's phase 1. Now, phase 1 is a really important phase, and some people have a phase 1 that's too slow. Some people have a phase 1 that's too fast. If your phase 1 is kind of working too slowly, you might be the type of person that's sensitive to chemicals, sensitive to smells. So someone puts on a perfume on the bus and you feel a bit nauseous, or you feel all allergy ridden. That can be that phase 1 is too slow. So it's not cleansing, it's not detoxing, it's not doing its job fast enough. Another sign of your phase 1 being too slow is your sensitivity to caffeine. So some people can drink caffeine and get wired, and it keeps them awake all night. And that can be because that phase 1 is too slow. We need to upregulate that phase 1, so that's where we need to start. But other people can drink copious amounts of coffee, lots and lots of coffee, and they say, it's all right, coffee doesn't affect me. I sleep just fine. Well, in fact, coffee is affecting you. Just because you're sleeping after you drunk coffee, it gives us an indication that your phase 1 is working too fast. Those people with a too fast phase 1 detoxification, it's going around, it's cleansing all those toxins, turning them into actually worse metabolites. And so if your phase 1 is too fast, what happens is phase 2 slows down, and you get a buildup of toxins, you get a buildup of carcinogenic toxins, you can get liver disease, you can get liver cancer, all these nasty things. This is why you need to have a really nice connection between 1 and 2. If you go and you take a detoxification medication or supplement for phase 1, and that's already fast, and your phase 2 is slow, you get a build-up of nasties, and that's when you get all these horrible symptoms of fatigue, of lethargy, of constipation, of nausea, of depression, all of those kind of things. Now, phase 1 is actually upregulated by a couple of different things. So phase 1 detoxification pathway can be made faster. It can be made faster through drinking coffee. It can be made faster through eating high-fat diet, high-protein diet. This is why if you're on a high-fat diet, or you're on a paleo diet, a high-protein diet, it's so essential that you have more antioxidants. Only antioxidants, polyphenols, flavonoids, only antioxidants will help to combat those extra toxins in your liver from phase 1 detoxification. So if you're drinking tons and tons of alcohol and you're on a paleo diet, your liver is going to be really toxic. It's going to need something to help it out. So to help it out, you might need more fruits and vegetables in your diet, more berries, more polyphenols, and more flavonoids. So it's really important to think about that. If you're on a high-fat diet, or if you're on a paleo diet and you're not feeling that great, then you really need to look at liver support. The most important nutrients for your liver overall, like generally overall, glutathione is beautiful. Glutathione is a really super antioxidant nutrient, and it's found you can get it from amino acids, and it's found in berries, and it's found in vegetables. And also an amino acid called N-acetylcysteine helps to produce glutathione. That's why we recommend N-acetylcysteine as actually a liver detoxification process. So we've got these two phases of liver detoxification, and we just want to make sure phase 1 is going nicely. So for phase 1, we need, B vitamins, we need antioxidants, we need some amino acids, and we just need that to work nicely. Magnesium is wonderful for phase 1, selenium and zinc. So really we just want to give our body a whole food diet and help that phase 1 just to do its job, just to work. We don't want it to go too fast and too slow. And if you suspect it's too fast or too slow, then you can adjust your protocol just a little bit. For example, if you think your phase 1 is too slow, remember, you're very sensitive to caffeine and you're actually allergy prone and you get lots of different kind of allergies. That could be your phase 1 is too slow. So you might want to add a little bit of cardamom. And caffeine can help cleanse your liver. And so you just add a little bit of cardamom to your coffee. There's actually some oils that you can get from health food stores that you can add a drop into your coffee. And that will just help that phase 1 a little bit. If you think your phase 1 is too fast, so too fast means you can just drink tons and tons of coffee and you're still asleep, that's your phase 1 is too fast. And that can be a little bit dangerous because that can cause a buildup of toxins. So if you suspect that, you can add a little bit of grapefruit juice in your sort of cleanse reboot, or you can add a little bit of more therapeutic turmeric, because turmeric and grapefruit juice actually slow down phase 1. So you would only use them if you know your phase 1 is too fast. So otherwise don't use grapefruit juice at all. It's not good to use as a cleanse because it does impact that phase 1 detoxification. And if you're one of these people that are very sensitive to caffeine, you also want to be careful with taking therapeutic turmeric, because even though turmeric is a wonderful super herb and it's anti-cancer and it's an antioxidant and it can protect your cells, if your phase 1 is too slow, turmeric will slow it down a little bit more. This is why I've noticed when I've worked with clients personally, one-on-one, via Skype, via my programs, via the Breakthrough program, we recommend adding a little bit more turmeric. Some actually take supplements. If their phase 1 is too slow, what we notice is they get more allergies, hives. So if you take turmeric and you get more hives, if you take turmeric and it affects you, then I would definitely look at your phase 1 liver detoxification. What's happening there? Is turmeric actually slowing it down way too much? And definitely look at grapefruit juice. I wouldn't drink grapefruit juice at all because that can be quite dangerous if your phase 1 is too slow. So that's what the phase 1 does. The phase 1 helps to cleanse, and things that go through the phase 1, things that will actually speed up phase 1, make it go faster. We've got alcohol will make it go faster. We've got saturated fats, we've got proteins, we've got heavy metals will make it go faster. We've got pesticides, we've got dioxins, and also certain medications. So certain medications like anti-inflammatories that can work on it. Whereas paracetamol can actually be quite toxic on the liver, so that's why if you've got any liver issues, going off paracetamol can help as well. And also histamines can really slow down phase 1, so you need to be careful there. The others will speed them up. That's why you need to take lots of antioxidants. If you're a smoker, lots of antioxidants. If you eat high protein, lots of antioxidants. If you drink lots of alcohol, lots of antioxidants. You'll notice if you have a big night drinking alcohol, but you're eating lots of vegetables and you take extra antioxidants, you won't have that hangover the next day as much, because what you're essentially doing is you're preventing all those nasty metabolites from the alcohol that sped up the liver detoxification process and kept all these metabolites in the liver, causing that hangover symptom, causing those headaches, causing the fatigue, causing the water retention. So always, if you're one of these people, if you're on medications, if you have to take painkillers, if you're a smoker, if you have to take oral contraception pill, you really need to have more antioxidants than someone like me who's not on any of those things or not drinking as much alcohol. So to really weigh that up and make sure you're getting those antioxidants in your diet, so important. When I talk about antioxidants, I'm talking about polyphenols in berries, in cacao, coffee, lots leafy green vegetables, definitely those brassica veg, all those antioxidants, acai, all of those things that are really high in antioxidants. Polyphenols and flavonoids are the two most important for the liver and for brain health as well. So that's phase one. So phase one is doing its job. And then what phase one does is it turns the toxins, turns the hormones, turns all these things into either smaller molecules that your phase two is going to excrete through your bowel via bile, or it goes into your kidneys and it turns it into water soluble and your kidneys urinate it out. So you need to have those processes working. In phase two is what's called conjunction pathways. And this is where the whole MTHFR and methylation all gets mixed up. And if you're an undermethylator, an overmethylator, if you've got MTHFR, if you've got any genetic issues, what's going to happen is phase two is going to get a little bit messed up. Lots goes on in phase two, and it's really important that we have phase two working solidly. So then phase one can just filter into phase two. So phase two really needs to be working before you're doing too much work on phase one. So what it does is it gets the metabolites and it basically adheres to them, it wraps them, and so it can do and then it can safely excrete them from your body, because it's the metabolites that are actually quite dangerous. So the first thing you need to be doing for your liver is taking a supplement like milk thistle. Milk thistle is so beautiful. It helps to increase your glutathione, and it protects your liver whenever you're cleansing the liver, whenever you're detoxifying the liver. So that is very, very important. You have different pathways. You've got the glutathione, I just talked about that. You've got methylation. So methylation is another pathway in phase two. And this is where if you've got MTHFR, you need to be working. If you've got any issues with your methylation, your liver won't be detoxifying, cleansing effectively. And what can happen is you can either get a build-up of those metabolites or too many metabolites going through, leaving the body. And this can be metabolites, any kind of metabolite. Estrogen metabolites that can cause cancer, testosterone metabolites that can cause cancer. We've got cortisol metabolites that can just make you feel foggy and fuzzy all the time and tired. So you see there's so many different metabolites that if you've got a methylation issue, you need to be working more on that, and also your phase two detoxification of the liver. Sulfation is another pathway of phase two. So getting all those lovely sulfur vegetables, like your brassicas, your onions, your garlic, your leeks, your cabbage, all of those, you really want to be doing 2 cups of those a day, 1 to 2 cups of those a day, so your liver can get the ingredients it needs to work on phase two detoxification. And then we've got hormones. Hormones are also cleansed through phase two, and they need things like fiber to help them out. They need the amino acids to help them out, to help excrete them. Because without this phase two working properly, what's going to happen is you'll get a build-up of those hormones, so estrogen. And this is where estrogen excess really can happen. So if phase two is not happening, coupled with having a methylation issue, that phase two is going to slow down, and you might become estrogen dominant, you might have endometriosis, you might get ovarian cancer, you might get PCOS, fibroids. All of those kind of things can really be located back to the liver not doing phase two properly. So that's why it's so important to do this phase two properly. So take out everything that's causing an impact to the liver, and then slowly add in what's actually helping both of these phases, particularly focusing on phase two. Dill is actually a wonderful herb to add to your food. Dill is beautiful to help with the hormone pathway in phase two detoxification. Your general Bs and your general enzymes will also help, but definitely getting a bit more specific will help a little bit more. A bit more specific with that phase two will be wonderful. So I would say the best place to start with your liver is more supporting it. So always support the liver before you do any intense cleanse. And I'm actually working at the moment on writing up and preparing kind of a liver cleanse, a 3-day liver cleanse in an ebook style with recipes on it. I'm preparing that at the moment. But as part of that, you need to be supporting your liver first and then going into this gentle kind of liver cleanse. So supporting the liver. Oil pulling. Oil pulling supports the liver. The reason oil pulling supports the liver is because fat-soluble toxins, hormones, all of those kind of things have an affinity to fat cells. This is why people gain weight when they're quiet. Their liver doesn't work, or they've got lots of toxicity, because they they're drawn to the fat cells. And so what happens when you do oil pulling is the oil through the oil pulling is very close to these blood vessels, very, very close to these blood vessels. So it can coax the fat-soluble hormones, toxins, coax them out via the capillaries in your gums. You do that for about 10 minutes each morning, and it will support your liver. It will support your liver by helping to rid your body of those fat-soluble toxins, fat-soluble hormones, those things that your body's just having issues with getting rid of. So that's one way to do it. Oil pulling is definitely supporting the liver, and it won't have an impact on phase 1 or phase 2. It's supportive. Half a lemon in water in the morning. Half a lemon in water in the morning, again, is supporting your liver rather than pushing. It's not pushing it. It's not revving up one or the other phases. It's supporting it to excrete toxins. And that's why that's wonderful. I just love half a lemon in water in the morning. Not just a lemon slice. I'm talking about the juice of half a lemon, really getting that juice of half a lemon. Of course, if you suspect your phase 1 is too fast, so remember, phase 1 being too fast, you get that your coffee doesn't affect you, those kind of symptoms. You know, a bit of grapefruit can help, but I recommend you get your liver checked first. You can do the liver cleansing phase 1, phase 2 test. They do a caffeine test, and so you know if it's fast or slow, but only use grapefruit if your phase 1 is too fast. So 1, oil pulling, 2, half a lemon in water, 3, 1 cup of polyphenols a day. So polyphenols are one of the most important antioxidants there are. They're in all your fruit and vegetables. They are so wonderful, really, really wonderful. They keep your focus clear. They're so good for your brain, but they're so good for your liver. My favourite are berries. So raspberries, blueberries, strawberries, all of those beautiful berries, cranberries, all high in polyphenols. So I would go with a cup of berries a day. You can put it in a smoothie. You can have them on their own. You could have them with a little bit of coconut yogurt. That's how I would have the polyphenols. If you want to have something else, you know, really great dark chocolate that's no added sugar, Lindt 85%, 2 squares of that, you know, will give you a few polyphenols. You can drink a cup of coffee a day. There's nothing wrong with coffee. Coffee is wonderful for the liver, wonderful for detoxification. It's high in polyphenols, so it's good for the brain and good for the liver. Great antioxidant. So a coffee or a tea a day, or a green tea. I would say 1 to 2 cups of green tea. Wonderful for the liver, and then you get that kind of bitter action as well, and the bitter is great for the liver. Now if you don't have a gallbladder, we're going to be talking about that tomorrow, be careful with your bitters. Bitters cause bile to be produced, and we only want bile to be produced and excreted when we're eating food. So don't have your green tea on an empty stomach. Always have food there, so then the bile can start doing what it needs to do and digest, instead of just going into the small intestine and causing issues down there. But I'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow. So green tea, increase your bitters, especially when you're eating. So you can do bitter herbs like dandelion, rocket. Endive is wonderful. Endive is so wonderful for the liver. I absolutely love it. And then a really great liver cleanse tonic. And the liver cleanse tonic I'm actually going to put in the email series that I send out. So if you want to get the liver cleanse tonic, just go up to sign on to this Cleanse Reboot email series. It's just going to be going through what I've talked about in the Facebook Lives, and I will send that out. So also reduce if you can. You know, if you don't have to take antihistamines, you know, if you're just taking them, see how you go, just reducing them a little bit. Maybe swap around your painkillers. I mean, if you're taking a paracetamol daily, paracetamol can be quite tough for the liver to work on, and it can cause liver issues. So you might want to take extra glutathione if you're on painkillers. NAC, N-acetylcysteine, will really help to support your liver if you're on lots of medication, or you're taking paracetamol, you're taking pain medication daily, or you're on the oral contraceptive pill. So be careful there. Lastly, I wanted to talk about fructose, because fructose does affect the liver. So fructose goes through something called fructolysis, and that is fructose being turned into water molecules via your liver. But also what can happen is, well, what does happen is the liver will turn fructose into triglycerides. So if you've got fatty liver, if you've got weight around your abdomen you cannot get rid of, you've got high triglycerides in your blood or high cholesterol, I really encourage you to look at your fructose intake. You just want to have about 2 pieces of fruit a day, and so that's either like a cup of berries, maybe it's an apple a day, maybe it's half a banana in your smoothie a day. So you really want to look at your fruit intake. Fructose will put a strain on your liver, because you're eating that. The fructose will only go through the liver to be metabolized, and so your phase 1 has to really work on the fructose, and it can be turned into ethanol. So it can be turned into alcohol. So, I mean, it's like with kids. Kids shouldn't be having heaps and heaps of fruit every day. Should only be having a few pieces, because their poor little liver is really having to work. And particularly kids shouldn't be having any of this high fructose corn syrup or anything like that, because again, it can put a lot of impact, a lot of weight on their liver. And we're actually getting more kids now being diagnosed with non-alcoholic fatty liver, and that's the high processed fructose, and that does include agave as well. So, you know, just be careful, just be aware of that when fructose is involved. Now, all of this I talked about. So in terms of what to look out for, again, looking out for the fatty liver signs, again, looking out for high triglycerides in your blood, high cholesterol. And if you've got high liver enzymes, so here's the thing where you've got high liver enzymes, really be careful with your liver when you've got high liver enzymes. You don't want to be pushing phase 1. If you're pushing phase 1 when you've got high liver enzymes, you might actually pop the liver enzymes up. So if you've got high liver enzymes in your blood, you've got elevated liver enzymes, and it's a problem, what you want to do is support. Milk thistle is wonderful for liver enzymes, so we're using that to support the liver. Glutathione is wonderful, N-acetylcysteine is wonderful if you've got high liver enzymes. But don't do any intense cleanses that is going to push phase 1, because it'll only pop your liver enzymes up, because phase 2 is struggling a wee bit, so it can't use those liver enzymes, it can't do what it needs to do, if that kind of makes sense. So if you're one of those people with high liver enzymes, milk thistle is probably the go-to supplement. It's wonderful, it's safe, it helps to raise your glutathione in the liver, it supports the liver, and it protects the liver. And that's, at the end of the day, what we want to do. We want to be supporting and protecting the liver so it can do its job, which is cleansing the blood, cleansing out candida, you know, cleansing out all these toxins. And if you have a bowel overgrowth of candida or parasite or toxins, again, it's going to be putting a strain on your liver. So you need to work on your bowel and your liver at the same time. So you're getting those out, always at the bowel first as well. So and then work on them at the same time. That was a lot. I know that was a lot to go through. So I hope that helped. I was trying to go through everything that I thought was really important for you guys. One extra thing, actually, I wanted to talk. Oh, I've talked about turmeric already. Talked about coffee and grapefruit. I just took a few notes of things I wanted to talk about that might actually interest you guys. So, okay, so that's the liver. My recommendations in terms of overall support: we've got the oil pulling, we've got the lemon and water, the green tea day, definitely milk thistle. Bitters like your dandelion, your endive, your dandelion tea, your globe artichoke, those kind of things to help and support your liver. So really look at doing those, and don't push phase 1 too much. Just go gentle in support. So if you've got any questions about the liver, I would love to see them. Pop them below. Tomorrow I'm going to talk about the gallbladder. The gallbladder is actually just attached to the liver, and what the liver does is the liver pushes out bile and the gallbladder stores it. So I'm going to talk about what to do if you don't have a gallbladder, what to do if you have some gallbladder issues, because if you're not working, if you're not helping to compensate, you're going to find it a little bit harder to cleanse. So I hope you've enjoyed that today. I would love to hear from you if you've got any questions. If you want to sign up to the Cleanse Reboot, then just click on the link above in this Facebook Live, and it will just take you through. And what you'll get is you'll just get these videos, and you'll get some downloads. And also I'm going to just pop a few recipes in each of those Cleanse Reboots for the liver, the kidneys, the bowel, that kind of thing. So it's going to be super helpful for you. But thanks for joining me today. I haven't seen any comments. I think it's because my connection is weak. So if I see any comments, I'll just respond to them like that. I can't see anything at the moment, and I think it's because the connection is weak. So apologise if I haven't said hello to anybody. But hello to all of those that joined, and thanks so much for joining me. And